Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the Nono Germans finding Kiev in a blazing inferno. Which, oh boy, sorry about this. Common Russian tactic. We're now on to the flames of war scorched the Ukrainian capital. September 19th, 1941. The German find a blazing Kiev. Okay, that's literally the title of the last one. They really want you to know it's on fire. These dramatic pictures of the Ukrainian capital, as the Russians left it, show top a party of German troops assaulting a Russian position on the outskirts of the city. On the outskirts of the city, prior to their entry into the town. Below, buildings in the center of Kiev left blazing by the retreating Russians, and then right, German soldiers in one of the city's main thoroughfares watching a burning building. So there we see the Germans advancing on a Russian position in the city, ready to assault it and take the enemy out as best they can. Here is the buildings in the center of the town that are burning. They were burned as the Russians were retreating so that the Germans couldn't stay in them, basically, or use anything that could have been in them. And then here we see those German soldiers just watching the burning building. A lot of them just kind of look like they're in amazement. Like, why would they do this to their own city? Which, to be fair, a lot of people would think that way. Why would they? Just making sure. British troops entered Tehran. September 16th and 19th, 1941. British deport Nono-Germans in Iran. After the Anglo-Russian occupation of Iran in August, the Iranian government agreed to close all enemy legations and to hand over enemy nationals for internment. There was considerable delay, however, in carrying out these demands, and as a result of the strong protests by Britain and Russia, the Shah abdicated on September 16th and was succeeded by his son, as many enemy nationals were still hiding in the country. British and Russian troops advanced to the outskirts of Tehran on the 17th, and on the 18th, Soviet parachute troops occupied the airfield and barracks in the vicinity. The next day, all the remaining Germans who had been sheltering in the legation were deported. The pictures show above British armored cars en route to the capital, and then luggage of the Germans being removed. That's below. Yeah, there we see the armored car division on their way. Which, once again, I just have to say, the whole Iran thing kind of feels a little, ick to me. Because, as I've said in previous, they just opposed, basically, like a country because they were supporting their enemy. Like, that's wrong. Iran wasn't fighting in this war. They just got brought into it because of this. It's just, I don't know, it feels wrong. But you could say they were just trying to defend themselves, which is true. But I don't know. I just feel kind of about the whole situation. But here we also see the German luggage getting removed. Italian garrison at Wolshit. Oh boy. Wolshit. We'll go with that. Wolshit surrenders. September 28th, 1941. British success in Abyssinia. After the fall of Amba Alagi in May, The only remaining Italian resistance in the country was centered around Gondar. On September 28th, however, British and native forces attacked and captured the Italian garrison at Wolschefit, an important position guarding Gondar from the north. The Italian commander, Colonial Gonella, his staff, and 3,000 troops were taken prisoner, and the way was paved for an assault on Gondar itself. The pictures show above Colonel Gonella with his men receiving full military honors. Below, some of the Italian colonial troops who took part in the battle. So there we see the full military honors being awarded to them as they basically are being marched to internment. And here we see some of those soldiers that participated back there, which some of these look like national people, but these are the Italian colonial troops, though, to be fair. So HMS Nielsen hit by a torpedo, September 30th, 1941. Air attack on the British battleship. On September 30th, the British Admiralty announced that an important convoy had been attacked by Italian aircraft in the Mediterranean. Escorting naval forces accounted for 13 enemy planes by putting up a terrific barrage from which only one attacker escaped. During a second attack, the battleship Nielsen was hit by a torpedo, but only slightly damaged. The attacker was shot down. The photograph shows the enemy plane actually attacking. The splash on the right is the torpedo hitting the water. The burst of shells from the Nielsen's AA guns are clearly visible. There's the enemy plane. Yeah, you can see the anti-aircraft fire, even though this page is kind of water damaged. Whoever owned it before me, unfortunately, had some water damage on this. But you can see the black dots there and there's even some white dots that are the anti-aircraft guns. You can even see some fire on the water from, I'm assuming, the plane. But the big burst right there, that's the torpedo that's now heading towards the Nielsen. Like they said, it'll hit the Nielsen, but it won't do very much damage. Negotiations for exchange of prisoners fail. October 3rd to 6th, 1941. A bad break for the wounded. On October 6th, negotiations for the exchange of seriously wounded prisoners of war broke down after a first batch of Germans had been embarked. The ships should have left on October 4th for Dieppe, where they would have taken on British prisoners for the return journey. Negotiations, which were conducted by radio, failed because Germany, at the last moments, insisted on the exchange being made on a purely numerical basis. Above, the hospital ships, brilliantly illuminated, are at their dock waiting to depart, while below, medical corps men out a disembarkation rehearsal. So there we see them waiting to go home, waiting to disembark. And here's them doing a rehearsal for what they would do when they disembarked. And yeah, you'd want to trade the critically wounded, because if they pass, you want them to be home, potentially with family if they could. And a breakdown of the negotiations is very unfortunate for both sides, because yes, you could say the Germans did awful things, but the Allies did too. But these these men, they still deserved, if they're going to die, they still deserve to die with maybe family around them if they could. Because we're all human in the end. And so we all deserve some honor in death. Some deserve less than others, but a certain man in this war deserves less than most people. And this is going to be the last page for this video. Russians bomb the Finns on the Karelian front. October 1941. The Battle for Leningrad. Throughout September, the battle for Leningrad continued with undiminished violence. But despite the fact that the Germans, in accordance with Funny Mustache Man's orders to take the city at all costs, they threw masses of men into the line, regardless of loss. They were unable to break through the strong Russian defenses. Early in October, Russian counterattacks south, east, and west of the city forced the Germans on the defensive, while in the Karelian Isthmus, where the Finns were threatening the city, severe casualties were inflicted above a town on the Karelian Isthmus after an attack by the Russian bombers. So here we can see, this town has just been obliterated. And the Finns, a lot of people kind of forget that they were technically on the Axis side, but it was more like the same reason that the Soviets were on the Allies side, or part of the Allies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They didn't necessarily like Funny Mustache Man, but he was really the only one that was going to help them against the Soviets, and that's what they preferred. They preferred help against the Soviets, and the Allies weren't going to do that, especially not after the Soviets joined the Allies. So it's really unfortunate that is how things turned out, but and this town suffers the brunt of that. Well, all right, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. You guys have been doing great, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.